It's 8 o'clock in Chicago, 10 a.m. in Japan. So you know what time it is. It is time for Showtime at Japan Expert Insights. Unless, of course, you aren't catching this as a replay, because between this show and the show we did 2 weeks ago, we're now on Spotify, Sirius XM, Apple Podcast, and Pandora. Yeah, you can check out the entire archive of Showtime at Japan Expert Insights. And by the way, we've been running this thing for about 5-6 months now. And believe me, all the shows are still very darn relevant. I know this because I personally uploaded each and every one of these episodes over the last couple of weeks to your favorite streaming service. So we don't ask a lot from you. We don't even ask for money. We're not even getting paid to do this because we're just crazy and we love Japan and Japanese culture. And that's why we bring this to you every couple of weeks. But we will ask you, if you like the show, if you like what you're listening to, please subscribe, because the more viewers we have, the more people listening. Tell your buddies about it. Tell everybody. We're going bigger, and we'd love for you to be a part of it. You've already been a part of it. Speaking of which, if you like this show so much and you're in the Japanese entertainment business, we do have some spots booked for the next few weeks, but we have some openings. So let's say you're a friend of Stefanie and you happen to be in the business and you're thinking, hey, I could be on this show. I could do a better job than this guy who hosts it, because he's from Chicago, and you know what they say about them people. We'd love to talk to you. We'd love to hear what you have to say. Feel free to submit any ideas, any guest requests, anything. Let us know. And please subscribe. We're on Apple Podcast. We're on Pandora. We're on Spotify. We're on your favorite host or streaming platforms. Please give us some likes. Give us some listens. And without further ado, we have today Stefanie Arianne. Now, did I say it right, Stefanie Arianne? Because I didn't confirm your last name, and I want to make sure I got it right.
It's actually not my last name, so it's all my full name. Stefanie Arianne is my
Stefanie
first.
Arianne. Oh, okay. There you go. Very good.
Well, everyone pronounces it Arianne like differently, and I'm just like, I don't even know how to pronounce it now. So because there's just so many different
because I'd say Stefanie Arianne, but am I wrong?
Yeah. I usually just say, hi, my name is Stefanie Arianne. So
Arianne. Okay.
Yeah. So
a beautiful name.
You know what's been screwing me up is because it's a beautiful name, and it's screwing me up because I've been learning Japanese, and the I's and E's are different, and I don't really know how to pronounce words anymore, and I wasn't that good to begin with. So, Steph, thank you for being on our show today. So, for all those who don't know, Stefanie is a up and coming actress. I wouldn't even say up and coming anymore. You're getting to that point where you were up and coming, but now you're getting established, and we're just so happy to have you on the show. You've won awards. You won Best Supporting Actress, I know, at the Malaysian Awards for Plan 75, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And you've just been, it seems like you've just been everywhere. I caught a short with you where you're talking to a little film short. You're talking to a girl in like a bunny hat, and it was just really fascinating. You're like totally doing this like kind of like very like sort of like a film noir kind of take, and we can talk about that too. But I mean, there's so much to talk about. You were also played a small part in a film called Oh, Lucy, which is sort of like a little gem from BC before COVID. So,
yes.
And one last thing is that you were, and I always have my heart to people who are from the Philippines, because as people know who's listened to the show, my grandmother was born in Cebu and she was from Manila in the Philippines. And so once again, and you were also in Cross Point, which we had your buddies.
Yay!
Yes.
They were all on our show as well. So
yes.
Let me ask you this. It was about 10 years ago that you came from the Philippines because your father is Japanese and you wanted to, be a part of the entertainment industry. So what led you to do that, and how's it been working for you?
Well, moving to Japan is more likely to be able to be with my immediate family, because I've always been in the Philippines since I was 18, and I was with my relatives, mainly with my grandmother who recently passed. So I grew up with them mainly. So I wanted to explore like how Japan is, and I was 18. I was like, I want something new and stuff. But being an actor has always been my dream ever since I cannot remember. Even my grandmother, she does, when I asked her, she was saying, yeah, she just doesn't remember when that dream started. Like ever since I was a kid, I was just yapping about how I want to be an actress. I would perform during what's this family events, you know, because in the Philippines, if you perform in family events, they give you money. So training us at a very young age already. What's this? So yeah, and I would always be part of the theater club and or back then when I was still going to like church, I would be part of the choir and stuff, anything to be creative. And but my grandmother didn't want me to enter the Filipino like show business, like the acting scene back then, because she was very adamant about schooling, about studying. So she just wanted me to focus on that. And so when I moved to Japan, I was like, you know what? Okay. Um, I'm just, you know what? Thanks to my friend Bob Worley, he gave me a bunch of agencies to join at, and then and my family didn't know that I joined all those agencies, and I started my journey like as an actor here. And yeah, it's been a roller coaster ride, I would say so. It's a fun roller coaster ride, you know,
Yeah.
very exciting.
So when you started as such, you said it was before you remember you wanted to get into acting, but were there certain
Mhm.
films or shows or roles or performers when you were very young that sort of planted maybe that seed propelled you to be like, oh, I like this person. I can do this.
Yeah, so actually when I was back in the Philippines, this is gonna be really funny. So, I was a huge fan of two actors. They were kind of like a couple. So in the Philippines, they have like these like love team things, and then they were like a love team that I was really drawn into. And so her name was Anne Curtis and Sam Milby, and behold, I joined their fan club in the Philippines, and so that fan club would go to different shooting areas like the filming and stuff, so I got to see like the behind the scenes, and you know that I think that really put a fire, like really ignited that fire that I've always had already. And I just remember that, and of course when I was young, when I feel like I'm giving away my age, but that's okay, I'm proud of my age. We used to have cassette players, and I think that's the first time I really fell in love with musicals, is because of Lea Salonga. So Lea Salonga is a very big, huge household name in the Philippines and of course in Broadway. So when she became Annie, like Tomorrow was just playing again and again and again, a poor cassette tape, you know, and I have to use like a pen to rewind it, you know, it takes us back in the old days. And so I think really at a very young age, maybe when I probably saw Lea Salonga like doing all the things she's doing, you know, performing and stuff, I was really like enamored by her talent and also by how smart she is. And then, you know, when I became a teenager, there became like Ann Curtis and Sam Milby, and they would always be in this like big dramas, and I just and they're just really great people. I also met them in real life, and you know, got to talk to them and stuff. So it was just really inspiring. And of course, like growing up, I got into music, and then there's Taylor Swift, where you know she's just like a dreamer, the underdog, and you know getting bullied and stuff. And I think I really resonated with that. You know, like people like back in school like laughing at like you know, me being a little bit extra here and there and a little bit dramatic and stuff. So I think that's how I really resonated with like how she's going on with her life, and to this day she's still one of my biggest inspiration to get there.
How was the transition from moving from the Philippines to, I mean, it's
Hmm.
been 10 years, but
Yeah.
was it a difficult transition, an easy transition? What did you notice that was different?
Oh, actually, that's a really good question, because I did not move to Japan because I was in love with anime, or you know how the
Yeah.
usual people would move there. I'm moving there mainly because I want to be with family. So of course, like me and my family, we have a very different. They're very, you know, Japanese, and then I'm coming there very like Filipino. So I think there were a lot of culture shock, I guess, you know, because my mom as well, she's more used to she's Filipino, but she's more used to, I guess, like the Japanese standards. So she wants me to be like a very Japanese-like teenager,
Yeah.
and I'm not a Japanese 18-year-old teenager. I'm loud. I'm like, I express myself so much. And I don't know, I guess that's because of theater as well. And I think she wanted me to be like that, but I guess that's the time that it made it hard for me with like that culture difference and stuff, and a lot of things, like the difference between like men and women, there's like a huge gap between there. And then I'm the type of person that would always question things, and I'm like, why is it like that? Okay. Or like, there's a lot of unspoken rules in Japan, and you just don't know. And then when they tell you, oh, you're not allowed to do that, and then you ask them why, and then they're like, well, because you're not allowed to do it. They really don't have any reply or like specific reasoning why it's not allowed. It's been just that way. And so
Right.
yeah, and that's very interesting. But of course, like in the good parts, oh my gosh, I love the transportation here in Japan. It's amazing. Though it made me spoiled though, because now when I go back to the Philippines, I have no idea how to use their transportation. But like the food, and of course, I guess back then when I first came here, I was on Filipino time. If For your audiences, what Filipino time is, basically, if we say we're meeting at 9 a.m., everyone comes at 10 a.m., 10:30 a.m. So it's always like an hour after. But that's what my brothers told me. Like here in Japan, you always have to be early. Like they said, if you arrive on time, that's already late. So you need to be 15 minutes early. And if you arrive past that time, you have to be saying sorry like the whole day. So I think that's something that I really learned and ingrained in me, that I'm always early now. So which is I have to kind of like change when I go back to the Philippines, because then I'm super early and then everyone comes like
Right.
much later. So yeah.
They say foreigners do get a pass. Now, but here's the thing. Obviously, you definitely look Japanese in a sense, maybe not traditionally Japanese, but your father's Japanese,
Mhm.
like, I mean, I have some Filipino in me, but I look like I came from Portland, Oregon. I look so
Yeah.
white. So let's just not kid ourselves. So I can kind of pass off dumb gaijin bumping into walls like some sad water buffalo. But did you find that you had a pass, or was it a little more difficult, or were the expectations a little higher for you?
Oh, well, I actually have a pass. Japanese people don't see me as Japanese.
Oh,
So which is really helpful at times, but annoying at times too. So there are times that um, like no matter, as what they say, like no matter how long you've been staying in Japan, no matter how good you are in Japan, like Japanese, people would still see you as an outsider. And I think that's something that a lot of us like mixed race kids and like adults are still like going through, that a lot of Japanese don't fully see as Japanese. But as what my brothers say, they said that yeah, that's why you really have to be very good in Japanese, so that at least they can be like, oh, you talk like a Japanese, you speak like a Japanese. I think that's how they integrated themselves here in Japan, because they did get bullied like growing up, and that's one of the reasons why my family or relatives didn't want to bring me in Japan early on, because they were a bit scared, much more scared, since I was a girl, to get crazily bullied. So they're like, okay, Stephanie's gonna stay in the Philippines first, so as well her English is gonna be better there. So that's why.
Right. No, that's interesting, because I think that Japan has been changing for the better nowadays. But in the past, I have friends whose kids went to school, and well, they had international marriages here. And just like your brothers, their kids were bullied back then. So I wonder, I mean, this is not a question really. I just guess that with the increased number of international marriages here, things are changing gradually, of course. But that's in the big cities. We don't know what the situation is in the countryside, right? So, yeah. But yeah, I also have friends and acquaintances who went through the same experience, unfortunately, like your
Mhm.
brothers. So obviously, your parents' decision to have you in the Philippines until you grew up, right, was
Mhm.
yeah, was a wise one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too, because they also know that I won't get bullied once I move here because I'm just too loud and would bully the bullies. 'Cause- so they know that I can stand up for myself now, especially growing up with my grandma. I think that's what they wanted me to do, is just
Mhm.
grow up with my grandma. Like my grandma trains me for life, the hardships in life. And then they're like, okay, she's ready to go. Here you go, kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, right now, like in these days, it's changing, yes, a lot, especially with social media. But of course there are pros and cons with the social media, but I mean, uh I wouldn't say that I had like a crazy, bullying moment here that my brothers have received, or let's say that other, like, mixed races have received. So I think I'm very privileged when it comes to that. And uh, I don't know, like there are times that I can, in the good way, like, like some, if you do something wrong, you can always use the gaijin card and be like, ah, simasen, like, oh, I'm so sorry, kind of thing. Or if there's like someone, when you walk to let's say Shinjuku, and they call it the nampas, where the guys just try to talk to you and
All
try
right.
to
Yeah.
up. And then, like me saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, I don't speak Japanese," does really help, because then they're like, "Oh, no, hi, sumimasen, sumimasen," and then they just run away. So they scatter
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
I found yelling "Oki Amerikanjin" helped for me. I would just sit there once I was just like "Oki Amerikanjin," which means large American, and then just yell "Taskete," which means help, and then that usually got a lot of laughs, and then then it was okay.
Yeah.
I've learned that. Yeah, you can't use the "Oki Amerikanjin" card though.
Oh.
You're neither. So that
Okay.
that but at least I could roll with that. So
Mhm.
being self-effacing helps. That's the one thing I learned, but that's a nice thing about coming from the Midwest, is that we're self-effacing to a fault, which plays
Mhm.
very well over there. So getting into your career. So you start off
Mhm.
with you have a bit part in the movie Oh Lucy, which is a
Mhm.
Japanese film that's also produced by Will Ferrell and Adam McKay. So I'm
Yeah.
still trying to figure out, was that a Japanese movie or an American production, or was it just both? I was trying
It's
to
it's
place it.
it's both actually, and that's really funny because that's my first ever feature film. So the director Atsuko Hirayanagi-san, she handpicked me from the website of my previous agency, and then I remember doing my audition that time, and I just bombed it. And then like back then, it's quite new to have like your audition via Zoom. I don't even remember. I think we did it via Skype. Um,
Mhm.
so it's not common as now. So of course,
Yeah, this is
like
before COVID. Yeah.
rookie mistake. You look very nice above here, and then like in pajamas down there.
Yeah.
So you know, and then during that interview, she's like, "Oh, can you stand up?" And I'm like, "Excuse me." And she's like, "Oh yeah, can you just stand up?" I guess she just wants to see like my build and my height and stuff. And I was just like, "Oh my goodness, why did I do this stuff?" And at that time too, like I wasn't really good in Japanese. I was an English teacher back then, and in our English school, you cannot speak an ounce of Japanese so that the kids know that you don't speak Japanese, and they would, like try to speak English with you. And so my Japanese was really bad. And that time my agency couldn't help me with like translating the things. And was this back then we didn't have Google Translate, well, it's probably there, but it's not as good as now. So we didn't have
Right.
ChatGPT. And so um like a friend and I, we were just, trying really hard to to romanize the kanji and then the hiragana and stuff. And then we were trying to like ask our other Japanese friends because they were in the university to help us like kind of like translate what it means, da, 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 da. But we didn't have time. It was like a time crunch. So when I went to the set, they were like, oh yeah, I was trying to like read the lines with Atsuka-san, and then she's like, have you seen the English script? And I was like, there's an English script? Apparently, my agency back then just didn't give me the English script. And she's like, and I was like, oh my God, so that's what it means. That's what I want to tell, you know.
Right.
Yeah, so it was just really funny, but she was so nice. She was very patient, and it was just like a really fun experience for the first time. And I was really hoping to see Josh Hartnett, but sadly his call time is an hour after my filming, so that was a real bummer. But I did meet, of course, like was the main lady, Lucy. So that's why she was really fun to work with too.
And I'll give you what the actress name who played Lucy in that. I'm oh god, I'm just gonna look up because I'm gonna like end up butchering her name. It was was it Shinobu Tarajima?
Yes. Oh, nice. Yeah, I was gonna wait for you to say it, you know, so that we can hear your pronunciation. There you go. Your improving
pronunciation. I've been using it forever. I don't know. Taskete. Help. Anyway, so you start off on Oh Lucy, and then and then you have this very impressive. There's a couple movies I want to ask you about that happened after Plan 75. But obviously, Plan 75 is the one that kind of your career takes off after this.
Yes.
And so now we can start talking about Plan 75 if you want now. I guess we're already 20 minutes in. I guess we should. So
yeah, it's already there.
Yeah, right there. So I mean,
yeah,
because you did a lot of you did some short film work. I and then I haven't caught a couple of those because some of the stuff isn't available here in the States. But you go to Plan 75, and then you play one of the three main characters, and you play a nurse, which is kind of funny because there's a comedian here, Zhao Yang Summers, who says if you're Filipino, you're either a nurse or a beauty pageant.
Yeah.
Filipinos, that's it. Either you're winning the beauty pageants or you're a nurse. In this film, you play a caregiver, so you go. But it's okay. So for those who don't know, Plan 75, it's a very thoughtfully and done movie, a very spooky movie, and it's a film set in the future, which was based on a short film that was out. I think was it 10 years ago? It was as part of a. Oh, I try to remember because I know the director, Chie Hayakawa. Yeah, Chie. She does it as a short, and then she turns it into a full length film. And it's a science fiction film where basically after 75, you can just kill yourself. And the reason being is because there's all these attacks on old people. And then in this sort of dystopian type of future, because old people are taking up resources and stuff. And the thing about like science fiction films is that I always found that these understated films, the ones that are, that don't rely on special effects, they just kind of like revolve around the concept, always tend to be the creepy ones that turn out to be more likely to become true. Like the movie Her, the guy falls in love with his phone. Yeah, I could totally see that happening, and it is happening now. So okay, I guess we're there. These sort of like these what do you call these microcosms? Instead of like the Back to the Future 2s where you have flying cars and everything's going crazy. When you focus on one thing. And for those who say, well, it could never happen, why would you would want this assisted suicide program for those over 75? Because as we all know, Japan is a very rapidly aging society. But it's not just Japan now. China has a rapidly aging society. South Korea, Germany, Italy. And I'm going to go off road here for a second. And I remember when I was in college back in the 90s, I'll go ahead and date myself. Yes, and I did have a cassette tape, and which I was so happy to go to a CD player at that point. That's how old I am. They talked about the population because we're in this big phase of the population growth. And I think at that point we had like 6 million. And the concern is that they were hoping, they're like, we hope we can stay within 8 to 10 billion people from this next expanse because we can maybe manage. The concern was we're probably going to be around 10 to 13 billion people, but more than likely 13 to 17 billion people. And that would put such a strain on our resources. We would not know what to do. Like we would be in serious trouble. Here we are, 2025, and we just cracked 8. We're getting to 9, and then we're going to start dipping. Nobody saw this problem coming. And there is no there is no theoretical capitalism, socialism, whatever you want to call it. We don't have any economic models for what's about to happen when populations decrease rapidly.
Mm-hmm.
So for those who see Plan 75, knowing that, it just gets under your skin kind of creepy.
Yeah.
Because and it's not a creepy film per se. It does have that sort of like, that sense of sort of, I would say dread, but there is a sort of anxiety that runs through the film. But it's a wonderfully done movie, and obviously great performances.
Oh, thank you so much. Those are such big words, and really I appreciate that, and thank you. Thank you. It's a really
so let's talk about your experiences, because knowing that this film actually almost could be very presciented. How did you read the script first? How did you get picked for this? How did all that play out?
So this was, like in the middle of COVID time. So at that time when, so before Plan 75, I had another short film, which was, not short film, feature film, which was Melancholic. And that one actually, I thought like my career was going to boom because, we went to Tokyo International Film Festival. It won an award as well in Udine and stuff. So I thought it was like, oh, okay, like it's gonna pick up. But then COVID happened, and then nothing. I was getting nothing. And back then I was like a floor manager of a cookie shop in Harajuku, and I was just like, oh, maybe this is just the sign that the universe is just like, this is it. You've already had your movie, and then you already walked the red carpet, and then you signed autographs and stuff, and there you go, there's the taste of your dream kind of thing, and that's it. And so because there was nothing coming, like zero casting, zero anything, and if there was, it would always be a no. So I was like, okay, maybe that was it. And then one day, Plan 75 came, and then when I received the audition from a previous agency, I was like, wait, this is the first time I've ever received a script that the Filipino character has something to say. The Filipino character has a backstory, kind of thing. So it was just like, I think I was on like in verge of tears, maybe like that time, because I was like, okay, this is a first for a Japanese film. So I didn't know at that time that it was like a co-production film. And so when I auditioned, that's the time I met like Eiko-san, Jason-san, and of course Chie-san. And I was really, really nervous that time. But at that time they were saying, okay, this is just, if you get this, it's still not 100% that's going to be you, because that's a time that Japan, the reason why they did like an audition is because Japan's borders went up. And the actress that was originally going to play Maria, she's in the Philippines, so she cannot come in Japan. So they're like, what are we gonna do? They're already starting the production, and they're, of course, like they have their deadlines. So they did like, an emergency audition. And when I got it, I remember, I was just on the couch and was just like, oh my God. But then they're like, oh, sorry. No, when I got it, I received the text while I was working in that cookie shop. And then I was serving a customer because it popped up on my watch. And then I was serving a customer, and I'm like, oh, here's your cookie. And when I saw it, and I was like, my eyes just started like tearing up. And I was like, oh, here's your cookie. And then that person is probably like, what is wrong with her, kind of thing. And then after that customer left, I just bawled like in the store. But at that time, it wasn't 100% sure. They were just saying that that it's just, they're just waiting if the border is going to go down or not. And so I prayed to every god there is in the world. I'm like, please don't open the borders until my name is in that movie, until the editing is out, and like they cannot take it back. And I feel like my prayers were a bit too strong because the borders of Japan opened really, really late.
They did, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there's me to
right
for that. But yeah, so it was. I wouldn't say it was was it a coincidence? Was it really meant for me? But a lot of people, like the Plan 75 team, they became such like my family. They said, oh, it was really meant for you. That's why it happened. And so that's how I got the part. And I got the part, I think, like 14, 15 days before the filming started. So I really had a short time to really short time to prepare, and Jia-san was very, very helpful, and she said, like, make sure you watch these. I want you to, like, internalize these. And of course, like, one of the producers, the Filipino producers at that time, my Tagalog, my Filipino is starting to sound very foreign. So he said, okay, like, I was really scared that they were going to fire me because of that. Because I apparently I had an accent in Filipino, and I was like, that's weird. I'm Filipino. I'm having like second guesses about who I am as a person that time.
Right.
But I'm Filipino, please. But he told me that this is going to be shown in the Philippines, and the Philippines are going to clock it if your accent even has a tinge of like accent in there, because it just doesn't fit my character for her to have like an accent with her Tagalog. So he, we talked about it. Like, he said, okay, you should watch these actresses and stuff. And then even on set, they had like an accent coach. So that was really great and really helpful. And even my co-star, they would always make fun of me because I would get tongue twisted with certain Filipino words. But ever since then, I really made sure that my original Tagalog accent like came back, and I've been practicing a lot too. So yeah. Sorry, I've been talking so much.
No, that's all right. It's interesting because I was trying to place your English accent, and we were talking about that. So, and I couldn't, and so we were kind of saying guess, and I'm like, oh, geez, I don't know. And then I just kept getting it wrong because, I usually do. So just for fun, for letting those in the comments, for all those listening live, if you can place Stefanie's accent, go ahead and give it a guess in the comments. I don't know if we're going to be able to give you anything if you win, but except maybe a little bit of like, you're awesome, and some praise. Yeah. So we can do that. So yes, please guess Stefanie's American accent, or not American accent, or English accent in the comments. So we're going to get to your other stuff in a minute, because we do have a request to talk about Cha-Cha. And I also want to talk about Imagine Diamonds in the Sand, the more recent works. Yeah. But you do Plan 75. And first of all, you said Chia said you got to watch some things. I'm curious, what did she have you watch to prepare?
She just told me to watch caregiver videos on YouTube. And luckily, one of the actresses that Allenberg, one of the Filipino producers, told me, she actually has a movie that is about caregiving. So I watched Angel Looks In. And I was like, oh, perfect. So I just watched that again and again and again, copied like how she says things, and recorded myself. And of course, like, like the happiest time of my of my career is there. And so I cannot really be happy at that time, because I had to really internalize Maria and all her wounds and her trauma. And so I made a playlist on Spotify, and if people want to listen to it, they can. It's still on Spotify. I think it's called
Can you put a link to that list?
Yeah, sure.
Share that.
Yeah.
On our Spotify. So keep an eye on everybody for Stefanie's Plan 25 playlist.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So, but what was interesting too about the character, because obviously when you're doing these kind of films, a lot of times we talk about others and others who are being sort of persecuted or whatnot. The other's always an other. The thing about aging is that eventually we all become that, don't we? We're all going to become 75 if we're lucky. Yeah,
if we're lucky, yes.
Your character, your character, she will eventually be in that same position at some point. So, from a psychological point of view, like, did this film change you as a person? Did you find yourself just being more aware or conscientious of certain aspects of society? Did it affect you in a deep and personal way?
I think it definitely did, especially because I'm very close to my grandma. And when I saw Baisho-san on set, it really made me want to cry. But I told myself, don't cry, because it's going to be weird. She just met you for the first time and you start crying, because it just she reminded me so much of my grandma. And I think that really deepened my understanding of like why my grandma would always say, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, my grandma has recently passed away. So, I'm not going to cry. So she always would say like, oh, like she wants to leave and stuff like that. She wants to just, pass so that she's not a burden to us. And after watching that movie made me really realize or like understood what she meant. And so whenever people would ask me, they would be like, oh, would you sign up for it if ever it happens? That's like the number one question interviewers would ask us. And I would always say that I don't know how my 75-year-old self would feel, so I would leave that to my future self, because right now my perspective and my point of view is completely different. When
Right.
I'm going to be, when I'm going to be 75, my perspective in life is so different when I was 18, so I cannot say that now that I would take it or would not take it, because I really don't know what I would go through in life till I get there. And I think for me, I understand that, the people that would choose that, because, assisted death is not rare anymore. It's very common in other countries. And so what's this? And a lot of people who pursue that get judged a lot. And I think after Plan 75, it made me, understand them more, like have empathy for them more in a way, because we really don't know what they're going through or what their family is going through and stuff. So if it's with consent, then it's their life. And this could be very controversial, especially in the Philippines, I think, because I remember Chia told me the Philippines is the only country that we both went to during our promos that said, oh, this will never happen in the Philippines, because we always, like take care of our grandparents, and we rarely put them in nursing homes and stuff. So that's why I think it really opened up a different perspective for me,
Right.
that I
Yeah.
probably wouldn't have seen, or probably would have even bothered looking into at that age. Yeah.
There's a little bit of Children of Men in this film, although much more quieter version of it. And then also Never Let Me Go, which I know
Yeah.
was based on a book by a Japanese writer, but his name escapes me.
Yes, Kazuo. Oh, it escapes me now
I
too.
know,
Yes.
we're gonna look this up.
Yeah,
Guys.
Ishiguro. Yes, he's Kazuo Ishiguro. Never Let Me Go. Yes, and
Yeah.
he won a literary award for that book. Yes, and yeah, there is some of that book, and I mean the movie as well, in Plan 75. But what I love, what you mentioned, Stephanie, is that you developed empathy through the role there, because I think that basically it's very difficult for anybody to develop empathy without going through a specific experience, right? And we can read about other people's experiences, and we can read about let's say historical events. We can read about other people's lives and everything, but it's still difficult. Even if those stories touch us, it's difficult to develop empathy for what they have been through. And I love that you did that, right? And I think that the more people we have who can feel empathy for people in their 70s, 80s, 90s, the better it will be. Because you mentioned that in the Philippines, you would never put your grandparent in a nursing home, right? But I think that at the end of the day, when I came to Japan, I thought the same, because in Bulgaria we don't do that. But also I think that there is another side to it, because speaking about society, purely about society, when you have special facilities with qualified personnel there, at some point it becomes safer for the elderly person to be there, right? Because they receive qualified care. And of course, we're still to find the balance, and we're still to find the right time to actually have our grandparents in such facilities, because not everything is good there either, right?
Yeah.
So there is qualified care, but well, sometimes there are issues and there are problems about that. So speaking about movies and how they impact our understanding of other people's experiences, and of course trends in society and issues that different societies have. I think that films like Plan 75 are really a great way for us to understand the issues that are present even nowadays.
Yes, yes. And I think it's, yeah, you learn a lot from that movie. And people would always say they had like the urge to call their grandparents, their parents and stuff. Because as we all are, we're all gonna age. And I really like what you also said, like having empathy. And was this like, as an actor, one of the things that I learned from all the workshops that I've done is they say that you can never judge your character. So there are things that that I wouldn't have done as Stefanie, you know. So but I cannot judge her, and what I can do is try to understand her, like why did she do that, why is she doing that. And I think that's what I love, really love about acting, is that I get to be in these people's shoes. I get to experience certain lives that I in this timeline that I wouldn't have experienced. So it's very different. Like as you said earlier with Chacha, I would constantly ask myself, okay, why does my character love this man? You know, kind of thing. Like if that was me, I'm like, I would have been out the door like the second he does that. So there are a lot of things, especially acting and especially with Maria, that really taught me. And I think it also really established the things that I would do for my next like movies and films, how I would prepare and how I would like approach the characters that I have. But I think definitely like one thing she taught me is that um that yeah, I should not judge like the characters or the future characters that I am about to play in future movies. Yeah.
Yeah, and based on something you mentioned that, well, in Cha-Cha, you constantly asked why your character did this or that, and she did things that you wouldn't have done as Stephanie, right? Or maybe this was about Maria. Sorry, Plan 75. But my question is, do you find it difficult then? Because while you were shooting the movie, you are your character.
Mm-hmm.
Then, do you find it difficult once the shooting is done to go back to your original self, to Stephanie?
Oh, I love that question, actually. I think, you know what, that's what they should teach in workshops, how to revert back to yourself. Because it does, it bleeds through, you know, it takes time to, to revert back to yourself. And so what I'm trying to do is like, I'm trying to do, because I don't have like a formal training with acting. So I just learned acting through watching movies and you know
Mhm.
like being in theater plays back when I was in high school or like when I was in grade school. But recently I've just, you know, a really good friend of mine who is the director of Crosspoint, Direct Donnie, he was the one who told me, oh, you know what, you should try Chabak, Ivana Chabak. And then another really good friend of mine told me that I should try Stella Adler. And then when I did take both of them, I was like, oh, those are very much like how I approach my acting. And I think it was really nice and helpful to um, have certain terminologies and stuff. But I think what's really difficult is that, again, like reverting back to your old self. So, what I always tell myself now, because I've learned, I guess, I wouldn't say the hard way, but I've learned in a way. Because when I did Cha Cha, she's very princess like. And um, I would see myself still back then, like, all right, after Cha Cha, still would talk like her, would still like move like her and stuff. And you know, it was like a love story. So it was my first ever love story, like that I have a partner. Well, I did that with Melancholic, but we're very distant, you know, like my husband and I were very distant. But this is like my first ever like romantic partner. And so of course, like people say, oh, did you really like fall in love with him and stuff like that? I don't think it's like fall in love, but you do create like a certain bond and a certain like connection with that person. And so again, like, and another thing was like when you have a partner as well while filming this, you'd be like, oh my god, I feel like I'm cheating and stuff like that after or like during the filming. So what's this? But at the same time, during the filming, I don't have like a problem like being in character, because or like doing certain things that that Stephanie wouldn't do, but doing certain things that Peony would do. Actually, small fact there, Peony was not the original name of my character, but the director changed it because during the audition she asked me, "What's my favorite flower?" And I said, "Oh, it's peonies." And then she changed the character's name to my to my favorite character. But yes, anyway, so what I would do is I specifically told myself in my future playlists, you cannot have Taylor Swift in your actor playlist. Why? Because that's the time, that's our switch to Stephanie. So I would listen to Taylor Swift to kind of be like, okay, I'm Stephanie again, kind of thing. And then, but if I want to be my character, I would listen to their playlist, kind of thing. So that's what I do now. Yeah.
Well, Stephanie's like your totem. Like, you remember in Inception, they always had that little gizmo or something. It could be like whatever, just a loaded die that always tell them, okay, I'm not dreaming, because I knew the feel of like this particular item. So for you, Taylor Swift is so you're not dreaming.
Yeah.
You're back.
Yeah. That's actually a good thing. Yeah. So I'll use that now, like for my next interviews. Yeah. So back then it was really hard for me to. I wouldn't say really hard, but it was. I can really see like my character like bleeding through, and as well like for example with Maria as well, she was very it was a sad time for her. Her daughter is dying, and she doesn't have the money, she's in a foreign country, so the playlist was very, very dark. And so I think what really helped me go back to my old self was just go listen to Taylor Swift, because she's been with me since burning CDs were a thing. So
I remember that too.
Oh yes, I burned a lot of CDs. Oh, I probably shouldn't say that, but
no, don't worry about it. It's all good. It's all good. Let me ask you this, because I want to get to Crosspoint. I feel like we have to, because we've had so many people from Crosspoint on this show, and I feel like I'd be letting Donnie and Kay and Show down if we don't get to that. But before we do, where was I going with this? So you mentioned that a lot of people ask about your character, going back to Plan 75, and we'll wrap up with this, like what happened to her, but you don't like to say, but in your mind, you feel like you might have known how her story played out. So is there a reason why you don't like to tell people your own personal opinion as to like where a character goes after the credits roll?
I feel like if I say it, then some people would, as social media as it is, they'll take that and say, oh, this is what happened because the actress herself said it. And I don't want to do that as well. I also like to, as a respect for the writers, like Chie Hayakawa-san and of course Jason-san, like I should probably ask them actually, but no, but I asked Chie-san and she said she won't tell me, she won't break. And maybe I'll try Jason, but maybe Jason also won't break. But yeah, it's I'd rather keep that to myself so that there won't be any misunderstandings or like let's say miswritings in future articles or whatever, just to protect the movie itself and the people who made it and their intention on why it's that ending, yeah.
Well, it's like Michael Mann, when he wrote Heat 2, he talked about how like his characters, he kind of knows, he does the movie, but he knows the beginning, what happens before and what happens afterwards to the characters. So in the same way, do you do that with all your characters or just particular ones where you really deep dive into them?
Actually, what's really interesting is that I'm not gonna say who, because this might be a spoiler, because I worked with an actor in one of my films. Oh, this is gonna be fun for the audiences. They're gonna guess who it is, and we have another film together. And I was like, huh. But like in the next film, like obviously our character relationships is very different. So I was like, okay, maybe I can just like connect their story. Like I like making stories in my head. I think ever since I was a kid, I would make fan fictions stories or on like impromptu stories on the spot for my cousins to sleep with. It's like they're, you know, bedtime stories that ends up until 3 a.m. because the story is just getting good. So I like making backstories for my character, why and how they got to where they are, and then like later on, like maybe what could happen and stuff. But I don't think I do the after part because I don't think during filming, because I don't think it's helpful, if that makes sense, like right
Hmm.
after the film, like whatever happens to my character, because I feel like that's spoiling my emotions like at the moment, in the moment. But with that particular film, with that particular films, with that particular actor, I kind of like made up like a story that connects our character for the next film, kind of thing, if that makes sense.
I mean, no, it makes perfect sense. And
Yeah.
then you, and then not too long, and I definitely want to talk to you a little bit because you worked with Lily Frankie, but before I even get to that in
Yeah.
the Diamonds movie, but we got to talk about Crosspoint at this point. We got to do
Mhm.
it. So what's interesting about your character Jessica is that she isn't
Mhm.
really a main part of the action. You truly are a
Mhm.
supporting character.
Mhm.
A lot of stuff happens over here, and you're sort of, I wouldn't say MacGuffin, but you're sort of like the reason why, you know,
Mhm.
Manuel, you know, the
Yeah,
but
certain
played
things
by
happen.
wonderfully
Yeah.
played by Carlo and Cunino. I'm so sorry,
Aquino.
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 Yeah, where you're basically the reason why you're his motivation. And
Yeah.
so how how do you prepare for a role like this as
Mm.
opposed to, let's say, a role where you're sort of like the main focus and the whole
Mm.
plot's hinging on you? In
Mhm.
this particular case, you're sort of a
Mhm.
character that you're driving the action, but sort of
Mm.
from the sidelines.
Yeah. I think I remember, I forgot who said it, but they said like there's no such thing as small roles, just small
Right.
acting. So I don't prepare for roles based on if I'm the main actor or if I'm just a sub actor, you know. That would be weird actually. Oh, I'm just a sub actor, so I'm not really gonna act, you know, kind of thing.
No, and the thing
So
is that you have to in that role because that's the thing. A
yeah.
lot of people, and that's what I noticed when I saw you know you in that film. That's a
Mhm.
throwaway role for some people, but you had to bring it because if you're not convincing, then anything Harlow does in the movie just it doesn't add up. But
Yeah. Yeah.
and you have limited time to really
Hmm.
provide motivation to to drive
Hmm.
the plot forward from sort of an indirect
Hmm.
space. So it
Yeah.
made people might think, oh, it's a smaller role, but no, it was actually a very significant role.
Yeah, and I feel like everyone is a main character in this story. So for Jessica, she's just not a sub character. She's a main character in her own story, you know?
Mm.
Um, and for her, if she's gonna have her own movie, she's gonna be like, oh, I helped someone run away kind of thing. And so when I was preparing for Jessica, actually, that was fairly recent after I did Philippine Pabujo no Shakaigaku, which is Be My Guest, Be My Baby. It's based on a real life love story. It was a book before, and the author, you know, he was part of the movie as well. And then I played as a hostess there too, like a pub worker, like Jessica's, you know, character. And so I think my main challenge there was like, how can I differentiate them that
Mhm.
they're not going to be similar and stuff. So I think that was my main focus, is that if I'm playing the same like profession or very close, is that what's this? Is that at least they wouldn't people would know, oh, this is Jessica, this is Aki, you know, like those kind of things. This is Maria or something like that. Or when you were saying in Diamonds in the Sand, I also played as a caregiver, which is very close to Maria. And but I actually have not seen Diamonds in the Sand yet, but I hope I will see it soon. But it's going to London, so yay, congratulations to the team. Um, but you know, like I think those are the things that I'm mainly focused on. Like, how can I make this character an actual human being? What do they like? What do they not like? What music, again, with the playlist, what music do they listen to? What food do they like? You know, what do they do on their days off? Like those kind of things. I think those are like my approach when it comes to acting, and like, you know, what do they really like, when or secretly like, you know, their deepest darkest secret that they don't want other people to see. So I think those are like my I guess like how I just go through with every character that I prepare for.
So Diamonds in the Sand, which has Lily Frankly going to
Mhm.
Manila so we won't be lonely, which I think is just fantastic. There you go.
Mhm.
We're literally doing the flip side here. Going back to the Philippines. That's it says 2024, but it's still doing the circuit, right? It's still running around trying to like get into the film festivals. Is
Mhm.
this your most recent film, or is there other films that you're in development with right now, or is this the most recent one?
I still have a few ones that are in development. So another one is called Edge Up, the movie, and that's also a Filipino, Japanese, Malaysian, if I'm correct, like collaboration. And with Edge Up, it focuses on kind of like the martial law, like the effects of like martial law
Hmm.
era in the Philippines, and Edge Up is like a journalist, and in that, and I'm going to be acting side by side with the daughter of Edge Up, and the actress that's playing that is Jodie Santa Maria. So she's a very well established and very great actress as well. So I have that one, and then I have another one that was just recently announced. It's called Hello, My Friend, and that is in Japan. But my character there is I would have a cameo there, and so which I'm really excited for because I'm acting side by side my best friends there. So, but our scene is it's very nice. I cannot spoil it, but it's very powerful. And there are other films that are in what's this in production right now. And only thing I can say is that we filmed in the Philippines, and that's the first time I ever filmed in the Philippines. However, it's a Japanese crew. The camera crew were Filipinos, but like the cast and the director, they were Japanese. And so, yes, I think the one that's circulating right now is Diamonds in the Sand for me. Yeah.
What
And of course,
roles?
yeah, Crosspoint, Netflix.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Crosspoint. Yeah, please, if you guys can see it, I'm not sure it's here in the States yet, Crosspoint, but please
Mm,
see this movie. I got to see
mhm.
it when it was in Chicago and got to meet Donnie and
Thank you.
Joe and Kay, and they were all just so delightful. And we've had them on the show. Well, we'll talk about that in
Mhm.
a moment here when we get closer to wrapping up. Stephanie, what roles do you still want to play?
Oh, that's a very good question. I think I definitely want to play a villain this time.
Everybody
But
says that. It's funny. I've asked this question to a few people. They all say, I want to play a bad guy at some point.
because
Yeah,
bad
for
guys
sure.
like they have fun. They have the most fun, you know. But the thing is, I don't. I would want to play someone that you wouldn't know is a bad guy, or are they
Oh,
a bad guy? You know, I'm talking about like kind of like a low-key type of thing. Like initially he was a bad guy and then in the end he actually became a hero. You
you
know,
want to play
maybe
someone twisty like that, where you think, oh,
yeah, you know,
this person ain't so bad, and then all of a sudden you have that bump
yeah,
moment,
like
right?
someone very complex, I think, and someone yeah, an anti-hero would be great. And um it would be fun to be in an action film too, a spy film. I would like to be a spy. That would be fun.
I
Um
love spy movies.
yeah,
They don't seem
it's
like
a fun
boys,
movie.
as men are just big boys. We all have
Mhm.
our genre. Like some guys like superhero movies, some like gangster films, some like I'm a spy movie person. You can
Yeah.
just throw me Mission Impossible and James Bond all day. I would love to see. Actually, we should work on this. We'll just write the script after we're done. We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Like a great like spy franchise in Japan.
Mm.
Because I'm trying to think if there's one that's been done.
Mhm.
Because obviously America has Ethan Hunt. We've got like Tom Cruise jumping off of buildings, and you have James Bond in Britain. Like, is there a spy film franchise? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think we'll have to talk about
Mhm.
this
Yeah,
after
but
the show. We'll work on it.
I have so many things I wanna be in. I wanna be in if Barbie is going to have another movie, I would love to be a Barbie. I would love to be a mermaid. I would love to be what else? I would love to be, I don't know, like something like Miranda Priestley, you know? I think that would be something cool. Like, I think I would definitely wanna work with Meryl Streep, Viola Davis, Kate Blanchett, you know, like Ocean's 8, that was a really
Mhm.
fun movie too. So, and I just think I want to act in a film where I can really learn from like veteran actors, and I just really have so many questions like for them, I guess. And yeah, I think that would be and something magical, you know? something with a green screen, because I think that's a really challenge for actors to just like be seeing the green screen and you're like acting. And so yeah, definitely.
Well, real quick, just so you know, we're going through the comments. Kenzo apparently is your bestie and says, made it. So, hello, Kenzo-san. How you doing?
Yes, and Kenzo is my co-actor in Hello, My Friend. So he's one of my, yes. So
Kenzo.
yes.
Well, maybe if we can, want to be on the show, just let us know.
Oh, yes.
Let's see here. Andrew Goins agrees that Children of Men is indeed a masterpiece. He said he had an Australian accent, but that's not correct. He's the only one who guessed. So it's up to you if you want to reveal that.
Yeah, sure.
Daniel Smith, who was one of our previous guests, says great show as usual. Thank you, Daniel. We always appreciate the praise, and his show was one of the better ones. Actually, all of our shows are great, but I don't know if I have they're like my children. I have 19 children now, and I love them all equally in different ways. And Lillian Chen says, I can't wait to see your movie. You are so joyful and infectious.
Oh, thank you.
Which I think we can all agree with. So
Yes.
So Stefanie Arianne, did I get it right?
Yes.
Stefanie Arianne. Thank you so much for being on our show. Did you want to wrap up with anything? Anything you forgot that you want to give a shout out to before we call it a day?
Yes, actually right now I'm in a web series. You can see it in every social media platform. It's called Halo Halo House. So it's named after the Filipino dessert, halo halo. So it's kind of like a share house where all like the mixed culture and stuff, and we're exploring like living in Japan and how it is as a mix, or maybe just a Japanese trying to integrate their life with foreigners and other cultures too. So if you guys can watch it, I would love that. And it's still growing, so please come support. And of course I would have a lot of movies coming out soon. Please do support that as well. And the ones that are in streaming platforms, Plan 75, Cha-Cha, and Crosspoint, please, you can watch it if you're in Japan, Unext, Amazon, and Netflix. So, and I believe in America as well. I'm not sure where Plan 75 is in America, but you
can rent it. You can rent it. Spend the money, guys. Buy it, rent it, throw some money away. It's really good. You won't regret it.
Yes, and I believe Cha-Cha is also coming to America soon. Yeah. Yes, and that's it. And this is the kitty that keeps on meowing while we're She's been wanting my attention all this time. She's like, you guys are hogging her attention.
So you can bring attention to the kitty. So thank you everybody for listening. And by the way, check out Steph on her Instagram too. So you can always follow her on there. And for us, to remind you, everybody, we are on Spotify, SiriusXM. You can follow us on YouTube, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, and Pandora. We are now everywhere. So please, please, please subscribe. You can listen to this podcast again. You're going to want to listen to it a couple times. It was very information rich. And once again, we do this for you. And by the way, one last shout out to our grandmothers. I'm so sorry to hear about your grandmother. I lost mine. I lost my grandmother on one side of my dad's side in 1993. And my mom's side in 2004. And I still think of them. And part of the reason why I do this show is because of my grandmother who was from the Philippines on my dad's side. So,
But again, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Maya. Thank you so much, Michael, for having me here. And thank you for doing this podcast and, giving voice to all of us actors that are here in Japan or in other countries. And I really wish that this podcast and this show would keep on growing bigger and bigger and bigger. So
we're not doing so bad.
Yeah. And once it's bigger, don't forget about me.
No, we definitely want you back. We'll talk about that after we wrap. So thank you everybody for listening, and we'll see you all again in a couple weeks.
Yes.